this is Daniel. I'm the co-host of, and I can't do it again. Every time Sam has Sam for all of Sam's great qualities, one of Sam's lesser than ideal qualities is he won't take minor bits of feedback.
He froze.
Such as I froze?
Oh, you're back.
I froze because I was saying something vaguely negative about you.
Yeah.
Sam's
my internet's looking out for my well-being and making sure that
can't handle this today. Sam will not take minor bits of feedback such as let's say hello before we start recording. Every time he hops in the thing, he just hits the record button and off we go.
Because the countdown makes it awkward. It's like I don't know. It interrupts the flow.
5. Right, our made up flow that we control because this is all edited.
True.
And so I have tried multiple times to be like, hey Sam, what's up? And he's like, burp. And the one time I hop in and the window's open, he's there. I start talking and recording while he's grabbing coffee or something. I'm doing a very NPR slow intro.
I'm so sorry. I didn't hit record. I thought I had, so I don't know what happened there, but I've been distracted, troubleshooting, adding new features to Insight all morning. And anytime you want to add a new feature, it like breaks everything and you have to troubleshoot backwards, and it's great.
That is the dream.
Yeah.
So
shout out. I don't think I've ever mentioned on the pod. I don't think I purchased a new Wi-Fi system by TP-Link. It's their brand called DecoD, DECO, and it's excellent. It's been really good. I guess this podcast will be a test because I have upgraded our recording to be 4K.
Oh, no, I've got a zit. We can't do 4K. I've got a zit.
Well, it says that you're actually at 1080, so that might be a camera limitation on your side. But because I have this fancy 360 camera, what?
Do not make me upgrade my desktop camera to match, to be good. I can't.
Fair. I won't.
No, it's okay. It helps my skin. No one can see my zit.
Yes.
Now I'm picking at it. Now people are going to see it. This is terrible.
Oh,
This is why this is an audio thing, and then we're just lovey-dovey extra party time.
A lot of people like the video.
I know.
But let me just say though, shout out to this Wi-Fi system. It's a mesh network, the way that many have existed, but it actually doesn't. I don't know how to describe it. So I did a bunch of tests, just like simple pings all the way down to all the way up to video chats, walking around the house, and it does not drop signal. There might be a slight, maybe notable hesitation depending on where you are in a conversation as it jumps from one node to the next, but it is so much smoother and faster switching from these nodes or little satellites than any other system I've ever tried. And it's way more affordable compared to like the name brand Google or Eero stuff. So DecoD, DECO, highly recommend. And the setup was so much easier. I mean, the Wi-Fi setup these days is already not that difficult, but this was notably easier. You literally just get to plug it in and go to the app and say add, and then it's done.
Shout out to Wi-Fi. Shout out to
Wi-Fi. It's funny how certain basic things in technology still haven't really evolved or changed and kept pace, like printing.
Can
we just talk about printing for a second? Because
okay, sure, let's talk about printing.
I thought
you were going to shit talk Wi-Fi, and I was like, no, it's still literal magic that information from anywhere in the world.
It is cool. Yeah, I'm with you
appears on my pocket computer.
But the actual like setup and implementation of or the apps that kind of, I don't know, they tend to be really hit or miss as to whether or not they're good. But the underlying technology, I'm with you, is it has been improving. Wi-Fi version 6 is what every newer thing is on now. It's amazing. It's really, really great. Anyway, that's all I was going to say. Was
printers, they're bad.
But the fundamental thing, like stuff like really practical, physical type tech, like printers, is still
literal dozens of people just screamed at their iPhones or their computers where they're hearing these words just buy the Brother printer, which they're correct. Buy the Brother printer. If you're watching
I do have
this
the Brother printer
on
the Brother
Sam's
printer. I'm with you.
YouTube channel, you can look behind me and see that I do not have the Brother printer. That's my bad. I've got
Where's your printer?
I've got an HP something or other. Huge
HP,
mistake.
bad. Yeah.
This is what happened.
You're talking about the Brother laser printer?
Yeah. The
only
printer.
good one.
If
Yeah,
you type in
I've got
the
it.
printer, it'll be like, here's your Brother. It's great. HP is switched to like a subscription ink service because subscription services broke CFOs' brains everywhere, and now everything just needs to be a subscription so we can chase endless growth. I understand that I run a subscription service and promoting it right now.
Well, it's a good way to operate for software because you want your software to improve and change. We've talked about that before.
Yeah.
But you're right. It has gotten a little out of hand with like I have a auto litter box for my cat, and it takes this like little liner of plastic bag that it dumps everything into. It's like as soon as I was through the 3 sample ones it came with, at the very bottom it's like subscribe to get your liners on subscription. I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Everything.
See, the embarrassing part about that story to me is not that kitty litter company tried to get you to buy liners. It's that you own an automatic kitty litter box.
I resisted for this is a new thing. My cat is like 10 years old and I resisted until this year getting one. And then they've had enough versions and they're affordable enough that I finally took a second look and got one. And you know what's really great about it? I want her, she's starting to get older noticeably, and I want her to have a more comfortable lifestyle as she ages. And so having a pristine, perfectly clean litter box all the time, no matter what, is part of that commitment to making sure Pickles has it right. And monitoring her health, which is something that's really difficult to do just by looking. This litter box measures the weight of your cat every time they use it. So you can see like a nice graph if there's any weight swings, which a drop in weight would be a bad signal. Yeah,
but well, you made it all nice and heartfelt about your cat aging gracefully, and now I'm the asshole for making fun of you for owning an automatic kitty litter thing.
Well, it's just to say that I did think this through, and it's like, I actually, not that I enjoyed it, but I do like certain manual things in life that I know I could.
What are your manual tasks? What do you like manually? Because you're a gadget guy. You have a plethora of gadgets.
I have an insane number of leaves, and I go out and use my little leaf blower every day to just kind of get them off the sidewalks and stuff like that and get it out onto the grass. So that's one thing. Obviously take out the trash and everything, recycling, combining all those boxes into a thing, stuff like that. Just little chores that.
Okay, so the things that can't be automated yet.
Well, I mean, I could pay somebody to clean my lawn every day if I wanted, I guess, something like that. But
right, but don't you pay somebody to clean your lawn like once every 2 or 4 weeks or something?
Every 2 weeks they mow it. Yeah, it's pretty basic. Pretty basic.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's lovely. I don't have any manual processes. I'm completely automated. Nothing manual here. I'm just waiting to be uploaded to the cloud. Someone's going to listen to this as their first episode and not realize I'm doing a bit and then I'm making a dumb joke because I'm a manual guy, guys.
That's an interesting thing to think about.
Appreciators.
When people, do you typically, if you find a new podcast, I don't know how many you really listen to, but do you go back to the very beginning or do you just kind of start at the latest one? And
Great question.
I guess it depends on if it's more of like a story-based thing or if it's like what we do, which is just talking.
I love a mini series podcast. That's my go-to. So like if I'm hitting a little mini series, right? Like my biggest disappointment is that my interest in podcasts did not line up with a very large podcast coming out that was amazing and everyone loved, but I don't know how to start it over because it was an episodic story. Night Vale. I'm talking about Night Vale. It's a very popular fiction podcast that's supposedly amazing and wonderful. Everyone who's opinion I trust on media is like, you're gonna love this. I'm like, hell yeah, I'm gonna love it. And then I looked, and it was like, here's your 200 episodes. I'm like, I don't. Like, wow. I haven't even watched The Sopranos, right? Like, I know I'm gonna love The Sopranos when I watch The Sopranos at some point in the future, right? But it's like, that's so many to
either. Yeah,
it's so much to commit to, versus like The Bear, right? Like the Perfect Wonderful series that is The Bear. There's like 17 episodes, and they came out, and so it's like, I don't know. So I don't really dive back into back catalogs. I try to find something that's like, this is a tight 10 episodes, or just right at the top. So I guess now is a great time to introduce myself. Hi, I'm Daniel. I do not automate a lot of things. There are a lot of things I should automate, There are even little ones.
That's a different thing altogether. Yeah.
Yeah.
The stuff you could. This is a common issue I see in people that run businesses, self-employed entrepreneurs, mostly photographers, is they'll have some weird manual step in their process that it would literally take 5 minutes, if that, to fix or update or whatever. And boom, you would never have to do this again. A good example of this is like canned responses for more than just your price sheet, like maybe a template for how you respond to a question you get a lot, maybe about engagement sessions or about how to do family photos. Like just sitting down and writing the thing as a templated canned response will save you so much time. Yeah, it's only like 10 or 20 seconds here and there, but that stuff adds up. And not only is it the physical amount of time that adds up, it's the distraction of your brain having to get off track to like rewrite and do all that stuff. Like you end up saving so much time with just tiny little points of friction. That
what? A thing that I haven't automated.
What's that?
Any of our responses for support. That's not true. I automated Android support because we got that all the time during our first year before we launched on Android. And so I automated that one. But that was it. Everything else was all manual. Because like the things that people are finding to break glass these days, especially, are like really weird edge cases. There's no way for me to be like, hell yes, this is a canned response. It's more like, what the hell happened? How'd you do that? Walk me through it. I love it.
Okay. Well, that's different. Yeah. That's tough.
Anything, right? Like I was on vacation this last week. It was wonderful. Nice. A real delight. I did a lot of manual little tasks around the house, such as hanging art. Oh, that's I also fun. Did a lot of hanging art.
Okay.
Like, I didn't even actually do that much hanging art. It was, I didn't do enough. I have more. But like, it was like, and then hanging, like a plant rack for our windows, like just little house stuff that had like fallen by the wayside throughout life that required focus. And I was like, I'm going to do this digitally too. I'm going to tackle my Lightroom catalog.
Oh,
you know what I didn't do? That I sat down to do it every day. Well, yeah, I did do something wonderful for myself.
What's that?
I ordered 600 prints.
Oh my God. What?
Okay. So you know how we've been talking about like photo projects and bodies of work and whatever.
Yeah.
It was time for me to see some of these photos in person. So I ordered 600 proof prints from Indie Print Company. Shout out to indieprintco.com. Sponsor of today's episode. They're not, but they should. Hi, Josh.
I'm going to check them out.
Get back. I mean, it's from the same people that do Indie Film Lab.
Oh, you know Josh? He's the best.
Yeah, I know of Josh. We briefly interacted.
Josh is amazing.
Because I was part of that Ryan Muirhead workshop.
Gotcha.
Over the summer. So we chatted a bit. Who knows? Hopefully we'll see a
Josh
little bit
is one of the best to play. Oh my gosh, what's that game we played with Ryan?
Avalon.
When he was in Avalon. Highly recommend it. He's one of the best to play that with.
3 cheers to yelling at your friends. It's a great game, everybody.
Cheers.
Avalon. If you want to yell at your friends and murder them and never trust them again, this is the game for you. Also, it's a variation of Werewolf or Mafia or whatever. It's the same version of a game. It's great.
Yep.
So I ordered 600 prints. I ordered 100 prints of my self-portrait project, I guess. Like there are multiple self-portrait projects that are kind of happening, and it's just kind of this umbrella of self-portraits, because like I have this mechanism whenever my partner goes out of town, when she goes to like visit her parents or takes a work trip or whatever, I take a self-portrait every day I'm home alone, because I get really bored, and taking, you know, like a lot of my home things, like my division of labor is like cooking us dinner and hanging, you know, like doing stuff like that. And so when I'm home alone, I'm like a little unmoored from reality. And so having a thing that I have to do that day for my art, for myself, for the thing, is really important. So anytime I'm home alone, I take a self-portrait every day. And then I'm taking my weekly self-portrait. I think I'm just going to do that forever. That's a spoiler. I'm going to take this self-portrait once a week until I'm dead.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Exciting.
I decided that a couple of weeks ago. I was just like, no, why would I stop? This is like really fun. It's really easy at this point, right? It takes me 8 minutes, 10 minutes if I'm doing just a simple one to like set up a nice simple photo and take it. And so it's like, no, I'm going to do that forever. So
I love it.
Unless something drastically changes, I'm doing that forever. And so I wanted to see those because I was like, I was hit with a name of a book.
So you already have the name figured out? Is that, you know, it's funny to me how many friends of mine have started companies where the name came first and then the idea manifested. It was, you know, once you have the name, the idea
sometimes you got to start at the top.
Other times you start at the bottom. I mean, in a lot of ways, the naming of something is like one of the hardest parts of.
So easy. We talked about this.
No,
oh my God, we can remind me. We're gonna come back to naming today. We're gonna talk about Insight and how we named Insight and the questionnaire and stuff. We're gonna like go through that. That'll be a fun thing. It'll be a fun thing to go through.
Yeah.
So
have
I ordered.
You, by the way, sent off any messages to Insight?
Hey, focus up. We're gonna talk about that later.
Okay. Why don't you do that right now? Start playing around with it.
I already did. I sent a text. It didn't work.
Oh, okay. Well, it's been on and offline this morning. I don't know when you did it.
See? So that could be me.
Yeah. It doesn't support any texts. It only supports an image or the numbers 1, 2, 3, or 4.
Okay, well, I said hey first, and then, because I needed...
Yeah, that doesn't work.
Yeah, but then I sent a photo, but I didn't get anything back, so like, I don't know.
No. Try again.
Okay.
It's live right now.
God.
It's working. The only weird thing is that I had to set your account up in a weird way because you didn't go through the...
Because I'm a special boy.
Squarespace site. Yeah. So I'm not 100% sure if I overlooked some component of it because, in fact, I know that I need to set something up right now.
Okay. We're getting distracted. Are we getting distracted?
Sorry.
We got distracted. So I ordered 100 self-portraits. Little 4.5 by 6 prints, you know, little 3 by 4 beauties.
Nice.
So I got 100 of those, and then
Are they already in?
No, they're printing right now, so they should be here, I believe, by early next week.
Okay.
Yeah, I did not pay for like overnight shipping. That was my mistake. I should have. I looked at it and I was like, no. And now that I've actually ordered them and I'm waiting, I'm like, I should have immediately gotten these to me. And then I ordered 500 photos of my body of work that's coming up around Baltimore and the Baltimore thing.
Cool.
But yeah, so a name came to me and I was like, I want this name. I think this is a self-portrait zine or collection or something. I don't know. But now that I have the name, it's kind of like stuck in my brain of like, how can I highlight this better in the photos? So now I'm like thinking through other photos. It's very exciting time for me.
Are you willing to?
Yeah, sure. Well, so here's the thing. I don't know what the name is for which project. I just know it's the name of a photo project that I'm working on. I don't know which name it's going to attach to. Probably the self-portrait, even though it's a little direct. So the name is going to be That Was the Old Me.
Ooh.
Yeah. Because that was the old me, you know? We're all changing. We're all
that's
growing.
That's a great name. That was the old me. Name. I'm going to steal that.
Well, it's a race.
Yeah.
And given how long it's taken for you to, launch your updated website.
Wow. Honestly, that could have been launched by now if I didn't do this entire incept
a company and start building that. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. I love that name. That's wonderful. I think that's a perfect name for a photo book.
Yeah. So I don't know how it's going to work. I also got a bunch of photo books. There's a really wonderful photo bookstore in Baltimore. It's open from 11 to 5 on Saturday. It's the only day it's open. You can get a viewing. He'll open it for you on Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, but Saturday is the only day it's open. It's called Baltimore Photo Space, baltimorephotospace.com. It is a beautiful, little, wonderful spot run by a guy named Kyle, who also just had his photo book published by Smog Press. And so I know this sounds like work, but like the other thing I did this vacation was order a bunch of print samples from like multiple different printers for myself, but also for potential of glass press in the future to start doing photo books for members. It's a lot.
Yeah, I've thought about a book for a while for me and my work, but it's never really appealed to me because by the nature of what I do, it's people's wedding photos.
Yeah.
And I think the only way it would make sense would be to essentially do like a book form of deconstructions, kind of like what I've done on Patreon, although it's been a while since I've done a full-on deconstruction article. Usually they're just videos now, but yeah, like here's the image and then like a full-on sketch and drawing of like how I was holding the prism or whatever it is up against my camera, what my settings are, and like actually deconstruct like a double exposure and stuff like that with the individual frames and talk through. That would be really fun. But
an educational book, not an art
essentially
book.
An education book, and also just a showcase and representation of photos. That'd be really, really fun to do, but so much work. I just don't think it would ever sell enough to, it's funny because my friend Taylor Jackson, I thought it was a joke, but he was like, here's a copy of my book. I was like, what? This was in Hawaii when we were doing a conference there. And he just had a giant box of books. Oh, look at you and I just rearranged ourselves at the same time.
That was great.
We are in sync. He had this whole box of books and I was like, you wrote a freaking book? And it was funny because it's a book about wedding photography, but it's all text. I don't think there's any photos in it. And I'm pretty sure he dictated the entire thing to make it, more simply, which is an interesting approach to think about if you can somehow dictate and then have it rewritten in a way that doesn't sound like you're dictating. Cool thing. But anyway, it just seems like a lot of people are kind of starting, but I can't imagine the sales of a book like that justifying.
You're never making the money on the book.
Okay.
It's what the book opens for you, right?
Oh.
So like now your friend Taylor is going to be able to he's always going to be Taylor, author of wedding photography or whatever the book is called, right? Like Guide to Wedding Photos or whatever, and that then allows you to speak at more conferences. It allows you to book more people at your own conferences because, hey, look, I wrote a book. So there's like this credibility that comes with a book. It's a really old school business thing.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think old school is the key there. I photographed a bunch of headshots for this random event at the press club a couple months ago, and I was trying to wrap my head around what the event was. It was called like Speak, Sell, and some other S word. And it was like 20 people. And they were all doing essentially just media training about how to, what to look for in your makeup when someone else does it, and how that's going to read on camera, and what to do with your body language on camera, and just media training. But also having to like public speak and all this. I'm like, who are these people? What do they do? And they're all just like randomly successful as like teachers and in various industries, professors and stuff like that want to start public speaking and being booked on random conferences and stuff like that. I guess there's a whole industry of that.
Oh yeah, there's a bunch of money for that too.
I guess, right? Yeah. But the thing is, I just don't understand what they're really speaking about. They're literally just like talking about success, which is an odd thing to me. Anyway, every single one of them had like 5 books that they had written, and they were all the generic kind of book of, hey, these are my keys to success. And it's like, what? I don't know. It surprises me that there's a market for that. Taylor Jackson's book on Amazon has 35 ratings, so that's kind of impressive.
Yeah, there's just not. It's never about the book, right? Like it's rarely about the book, even for like professional authors, right? You know, like especially people who are writing like nonfiction business or you know, like nonfiction focused on education. It's always about you get paid speaker fees. Speaker fees is where you will make your money, right? You write a book on the future of work or remote work, or is remote work working? Who can say, right? You're going to sell 5,000 copies of that book. You are not going to make a ton of money on that book, but the publisher will make enough money on that book that they can publish it. Hooray, look, we're doing this thing. And then you get to take that and you say, hi, I'm the author of this book. I'm a subject matter expert. I can prove it. Here's my book. Book me and pay me $10,000 plus the honorarium and per diem to come speak at your conference. And they say, yes. And then you make, you know, an obscene amount of money on speaker fees if you get on the right track. Problem is, it's a really hard track to get on. And it's also, what's the word? Rigged. There we go.
Rigged?
Yeah, I mean, like, this is not this is not advice that like anyone can just sit down, write the book, and then get the speaker fees, right? Like, you have to know someone who knows someone who knows someone, etc. So you rinse, repeat all the way down of like, this is just nepotism.
I gotcha. Yeah, that's a good way to put it, I suppose. Fascinating. Well, can we talk about the new MacBooks?
So about the new MacBooks?
Yeah.
No, because I know nothing about them. Let me tell you why, though. Because I bought an M2 MacBook in. Oh, angry dogs.
It's fine. For some reason,
wait, you can't hear that?
I can hear the dogs. Yeah, we can wait if you want.
He's just about to stop. Okay, so let me tell you why. I know nothing about the new MacBooks because I bought a MacBook M2 whatever this summer, and I knew that looking at them would then make me want them, and I don't need them. It was very much I don't need that. I've got this amazing thing right here, and I didn't want to feel. I didn't want to succumb to the thing that I knew that was going to happen either way, right? Like, oh, there's a beautiful black one. It's faster than the one I have. Oh, that's so nice. I love it, right? Like, that's not what I needed. What I needed was to appreciate what I already had. So I did. But yeah, tell me about them. Have you got yours yet?
No, it just shipped, though. It's coming, I think, early next week or maybe by Friday.
Did you get black, silver, space gray?
I got black. Yeah, space black. I'm very excited. I'm irrationally excited about that. There's no reason to be that excited about color of anything. But my first MacBook ever was that matte black, all black MacBook. I loved it.
I wanted that MacBook so badly.
Yeah, that thing was so cool. I regret actually selling it. It's, I think I don't know that we've discussed this before, but I fully spec'd the thing out, so it was obscenely expensive. But a big chunk of that is simply just paying for the 8 terabyte internal SSD, which is like a $2,000 add-on.
That is your thing. You love that
obscenely expensive, but I just cannot tell you how freeing and nice it is to have that much headroom. like I can, as long as, I mean, I can't store an entire season of shooting, but as long as every couple of months I move my images that are delivered from my internal drive to my big archive drive, I'm never ever going to run out of space for video, for audio recordings, anything that I need. And too often I think a lot of photographers have to play that shell game of like, oh, I'm starting to import a wedding, and that is when you discover that you're running out of space. You can't fit it all. So in the middle of trying to import and back up your photos, now you have to find old ones that you can copy off, or empty your trash bin, or whatever you can do to make space for it. And that manual process of having to like look for stuff to get rid of and everything else. I just got a text from Apple. Today's the day. Item should be delivered today. That's exciting. That manual process is really what opens you up to the most risk of corruption or accidentally deleting something you didn't mean to, and essentially having like data loss or some issue there. So as much as you're able to minimize and not have to deal with that, the better. And yeah, it's super expensive to have 8 terabytes of space, but for me it's been an absolute dream. Now I wish they had like 6. I think 8 is way overkill, but it only goes from like 1 to 2, I think, and then 2 to 4 and 4 to 8. So unfortunately,
can I tell you my hack? I have a hack for this. It is not a good hack, but it is a hack. Oh my God. Speaking of hacks, I'm sorry. We didn't talk about this on the internet together. A runner sprinted straight into me and knocked the GFX 100S out of my hands and
it was a pretty gruesome photo you sent me. Yeah, that was...
Yeah. The hand grip has 2 little cracks on the bottom. And so I, found the pieces. Guy ran off. Adios, amigo.
But did he just say, "Oh, I'm sorry, that sucks"?
Yeah, no, he like sprinted straight into me, and then we both, I fell over all the way. He fell over most of the way, and then he was just like, "Oh shit, sorry, man," and then like pushed up off of me.
What?
And then just like kept sprinting, like just kept going. He was just like running fast, training hard. Sweat was on me. That was gross. And then I was like, ah! And like swearing and yelling at him. I was like, where the hell are you going? And then he was just gone. And then I looked and I was like, oh, and then there was a minor piece missing.
Awful.
Yeah.
So were you strapless?
At the time, yes.
Yeah. I was going to ask if that was a normal thing for you, or if it just happened to be bad luck or
it wouldn't have mattered. Because I went down too, and so the strap would have been long enough on the edge that it hit the ground anyway. So straps or no straps, this was just a man literally tackling me turning a corner. So runner, I was like trying to take a photo of an edge and like of a nice wall or whatever right at the edge, and he just like turned around it and just like ran straight into me. Anyway,
yeah, that's. I'm actually surprised that doesn't happen more often in what I do with weddings, because I feel like people are constantly walking around randomly and sort of not self-aware of their
an old uncle,
space and exactly.
A drunk aunt, a stoned cousin, somebody. It feels like should bump into the photographer like per wedding.
Exactly.
But it doesn't happen.
Good way to put it. Yeah, I mean, I think this is actually one advantage, if you want to put it this way, because I have justifications for everything that I do. But one advantage to not using lens hoods or caps is that I am a lot more aware of like the front element of my lens. If I'm rounding a corner or something like that, like I just kind of hug it against me if I'm not actively taking a photo and it's kind of hanging to my side. I'm much more aware of my surroundings, because I know if I hit the corner of a table with the front element of my lens, it's probably a bad thing. So I'm a little more just self-aware and protective of things like that than maybe I otherwise would be if I had a hood on there. Maybe I'd be a little more careless. I don't know. Maybe that's just my brain. But
So that was less than ideal, but then I took it home.
Yeah,
it still worked. It was still fine.
There was it up nice. Yeah.
A couple of scruffs, a couple of edges on like the lens hood itself. I don't use the lens hood on the Midicon, but it's only like an inch, well, maybe less than an inch at the end, and it just screws on. So that is what got dinged up, not the actual lens. And then, the battery grip hand part definitely did have a little crack, but I just smushed the cracks back in and then
as you do
filled it with hot glue and waited for that to finish, and then like smoothed it out, and then just Sharpied it in. And let me tell you, good as new. Adds character. It does ruin my plan to sell every camera I own to buy the GFX 100 the second.
Yeah,
because it drops the resale value of
big time
the GFX.
It's got character now. It's got a story that you can think about for the rest of eternity, that you have that camera and no one wants to buy it.
Yeah.
At least not for enough to make it worth it for you to get rid of.
Right. It's one of those things where it's like, oh, this goes from being like a $38 or $4,000 sale to like, oh, I'd be lucky to get $3 for it. And it's like, okay, what's the point? Why? I don't need to upgrade that bad. I was just all excited and whatever. So I'm no longer doing that. I'm just rolling with this forever. But that was my little hack. I just, hot glued it, painted it with a Sharpie. It looks great. And, maybe one day someone will buy it. And they'll be like, man, this is the thing that he shot. That was the old me with. That's amazing.
Yeah, that's a good point. Also, once you have, it's kind of like, I don't know if you've ever had a brand new car, but you sort of want to get the first scratch over with. Like, I didn't do this, but when I got my very first and only actual brand new car, I kind of wanted to just scratch some edge and corner of it just to get it over with, because you're waiting for that first ding. And then after that, you're kind of like, it's fine. It's already got a dent. And then a few dents in, you're just sort of like, whatever. It's had a couple dents already. It's nice that now you can just, you can throw your camera on the ground and not feel guilty.
I can spike my camera and it'll feel great. We bought a Subaru Forester when we moved to Montana. I was driving a 15-year-old Toyota Echo. It was my partner's car. I was driving it into the valley and got to the top of the hill, and I could feel the transmission start to die. And I was like, oh no. But luckily, it was downhill for the next 90 miles. And so I just kind of coasted in neutral, okay. And then it luckily started the next day after I moved into town to get down to the car dealership. And then I bought the car dealership, and then I immediately took that Subaru into the backwoods of Glacier National Park that day and scratched the hell out of it. So yeah, highly recommend scratching your cars.
Yeah, there you go.
Big interesting, big fan.
Segue in topics there, but that is unfortunate.
Oh my God, what was my other hack? No, I was talking about a different. My hack, my storage hack. So in the same hot glue gun style thing, my current hack for this is to take the SanDisk SSDs, the ones with the fun little orange little carabiner hook thing. They're, I don't know, like a couple $100 if you get a good one. The fanciest one that's 4 terabytes. It's $300. It is a 2x4 enclosure. It's really easy and really cheap to buy. 2x4 Velcro stickers. And so I now just have 2 splotches of soft Velcro on the back of my laptop monitor. And then you slap the other teethy part on your hard drive, and then you just Velcro your external hard drives to your laptop.
Nice.
It looks there's this aesthetic that kind of exists in that handicrafty use your tools that Casey Neistat popularized, right? He yes. With his YouTube channel and his studio space in New York City is just I need something here, and just drills whatever, functional, terrible looking thing and drills it in. And I'm I don't want that level. But there is something to be said for just like customizing your tools as you need them, such as this dumb laptop not having enough space and me not wanting to spend $2,200 to get 8 terabytes, or realistically just not having the $2,200 to spend. And so instead I bought some Velcro. The two, here we are, everyone, the two photographers, Sam and Daniel. You can buy Velcro or you can buy the nice thing.
Sure. Yeah, that's I'm with you. The other thing that is kind of hilarious is that you can buy I don't think it's the same exact brand of what Apple uses. Maybe it is, but you can buy an SSD 8 terabyte internal drive, just standalone, and then get like a little $80 USB Thunderbolt enclosure for it. And I have 2 of those, but they're so cheap. Like those standalone drives, let me see what the cost is on them. Like it hurts to know that again, it's $2,000 for the Apple. Maybe the performance on the internal drive on there is like way faster, but I don't think so.
The performance is going to be better. It's like
here it is. Samsung 870 SATA 3 SSD 8 terabytes internal solid state drive, $349.
See, love it.
Yeah, and Apple is charging you $2,000. Anyway, I got 2 of those. So one, they're always connected to my laptop, and because they're the exact same size as my laptop hard drive, and my laptop hard drive is never going to be completely full. It's a perfect mirrored backup through Time Machine. And then I also import as a second copy from my memory cards to another one that I just randomly purge here and there. So anyway, highly recommend that Samsung solid state drive. If you can't splurge for the internal, go for it. It's the Samsung 870 QVO SATA 3 SSD, 2.5-inch, and it says internal solid state drive, but you can buy literally like an $80 like $20 enclosure for it, and it will just mount over Thunderbolt. So.
And I highly recommend the Velcro 4-inch by 2-inch industrial strength strips in black 2-pack 9017.
Nice.
It's $3. Get your Velcro, everybody. Get your nice stickers. Stickers? That's not right. Hard drives. Okay. Anyway.
I want to let you test Insight again now that I've, I think, fixed your account. For people listening, Insight is the ability to send off an image directly from your Pro camera body to Insight, which is a tool I developed that lets you then receive in a text message 4 different variations of that photo, rendered pretty accurate to the scene, so you can get some new pose ideas. And a big change that I made yesterday, this had been in the back of my head for a while, but I finally got it working, is to be able to just send a photo over text message to Insight, and it would take that and do the exact same process. But if you don't have a camera that supports it, or you just have like maybe just your iPhone, you want to take a picture and send it off, you can do that all through just your text chat window now, instead of having to go anywhere special.
Well, maybe.
And it works great. Well, it's working great for me. I don't know about you.
It might not be working for me. Who can say?
Okay.
Not me. I guess I actually can say. I guess I'm the only person who can say. Send. Here, I sent a thing.
Okay.
We'll see if it works. I haven't gotten anything back yet.
It takes, I'm working on speed. Oh, no, there's an error. I don't know. I'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out.
You're missing from something.
When we return to that.
I think you have a different phone number than I anticipated.
What? My phone number has been the same since like the 7th grade.
Oh yeah, no, it's not a phone number thing.
All I'm saying is it's been the same since 7th grade. 208 represent. I talked with Jeff Carlson. He is the co-host of the Photoactive podcast. Shout out to Jeff. He also grew up in Idaho. Spud Brothers.
That's what you call each other?
Well, when you're from Idaho, potatoes are big there. Spud Brothers.
I like it.
Yeah. So let's pull open. We're going to pull open the... So one of the things that people may not know from this, since we're talking about Insight and we're on the topic, is that I named it. hello, it's me. I named it. There was Sam was asking questions about it, wanted to know, what would be a good name. He had a few ideas, and I was like, no, let's just do the process. And so I sent him my questionnaire. He filled it out, and then he did not connect that it was my questionnaire that he was filling out. He was just filling out.
Nothing about this. This was a completely branded, nothing about it was...
Yeah, it didn't shout
a signal that it was
Daniel.
your thing. And I was impressed. I think I even said, oh, yeah, whatever questionnaire that was, that was a really nice intake form, blah, blah, blah. And you were like, yeah, that's me.
That's me.
Pretty cool.
And so that's, one of the things that we did was name that. And, it typically takes a lot longer to name a thing than Sam and I did over this, because he sent me the questionnaire. I thought about it for a while, put down a few options, slept on it, came back, and then was like, oh, well, this is available. How do you like this? And he was like, that's great. I haven't heard back from the people, whoever you wrote. You sent me that thing to fill out. I haven't heard back from them. I was like, that's me. You're hearing back from me right now. And so, I'm trying to find your answers.
Oh, right. They were good questions. And I have absolutely no recollection of what I put. So that would be
we did this. We did this in July. So that's when Insight kind of landed. So there are a handful of questions that I asked that are all kind of the same question, right? I'm just trying to get different answers and more complete information around these sorts of things whenever I'm naming a product or a feature, whatever, right? We talked about this last week or 2 weeks ago about our multiple uploads per post feature that's coming to Glass in the future is what is the name going to be? Collections, series, sets, right? Trying to figure out that type of thing is a little different from naming a company, because the company, there's a lot more ephemeral feeling that you're trying to get in there, right? So the first question that I always ask is write down your main idea behind your brand in one sentence or phrase, because that's a really hard thing for people to do. So I stump them immediately on purpose because you're not going to get it right, so you're not going to be able to get it down to a sentence. You're going to write a little too much. So Sam said, I need a name for a process method workflow of shooting photographs where you wirelessly send unedited images directly from your camera to an AI image generator that gives you alternate ideas on your phone in 1 minute or less. It's meant to get instant inspiration for more creative ideas, posing, composition, use of light while you're actively shooting a portrait session. So that's, that's more or less what Insight does now. Hooray! Except it's significantly easier to use. An important part of naming something is understanding the audience. Who your customer is. So I asked, who is your most important audience? Sam answered, portrait and wedding photographers. That makes sense. There's not a lot of feedback there. Correct. The two people who are going to use your thing are the people who would get any use out of the thing. There's not a lot of, even narrowing it down to, because narrowing it down was great. I loved that you did that there, right? Some people would have just answered photographers, and it's no, your insight is going to be helpful to these people the most. These are the people that are going to stick around, as opposed to me, a street photographer. It's here's a door, give me a different angle for this door isn't
right,
isn't going to be super important for me. And then we talk about feel and specifics. So what do you want your audience to feel when they hear your name? Sam answered, a sense of inspiration and an empowering, ethical use of an AI tool as a collaborator, not as a shortcut or crutch.
Yep.
So that still tracks. That sounds right.
Yep. And I think that component is going to be increasingly key. Is the because I feel like not everybody, but most of the time when I come across, at least in my reality as it exists on social media, which is probably different than everybody else's because
that's
we're
what
all
social
living in our
media
own little
does.
algos. But I see constant pushback against like, oh, is this an AI photo? Okay, yeah, this is AI. People calling it out in kind of a negative way. And this approach, if you just heard which I need to work on, like my 30-second elevator pitch of what it does, you might just immediately think, oh, okay, it's AI, like reject. This is awful. It's destroying everything.
Yep.
But if you take just a second to let it process and distill down exactly what I'm going for here, I think it is a ethical and a positive use for this tool. And that's just going to need to be emphasized more and more, I think, as AI gets a lot of pushback, as it starts, various versions of different AIs start destroying people's livelihood.
Yeah.
This still requires you to take a photo and be the photographer and know what you're doing. It's not going to make you, it's not going to make the photo for you, in other words.
Yeah. And
versus just prompt writing.
You're also still getting 4 options. So like the composition, right? Like taking a hint of a composition from a tool that you hadn't thought of, but then you have to make it work in the actual scenario that you're shooting is very different, right? Like it's like a really helpful assistant, photo assistant being like, hey, no, like come down here, move a little to the right maybe. But it's faster and you get to see what that is as opposed to like guessing or needing to trust your gut that like, oh no, I really do need to go 5 feet that way.
Let's pause for 1 second. Yeah. So I gotta let popcorn out. Sorry about that.
No problem.
But yes, you are doing a wonderful job of describing what I am going for. The assistant, inspirational, use it if you want kind of approach, I think it's the way to do it.
Yeah.
And it's super fun. And it's changed a lot about my approach and mindset when I'm shooting in a, I think, positive way.
So the next question that we ask is, what's your advantage? What do you do that your competitors don't? How do you talk about what you do differently than they do? This is, pretty specific sounding, but really there's like a, the details is what matters here for both how a brand operates and what a, different. That's a really hard word. The thing that makes you different.
Differentiation.
Yeah.
Differentiation.
I'm just gonna stick with things that make you different.
Okay.
Nice. Is like a useful nugget for naming something, but it's also a useful thing to draw through your marketing and your branding. And as you continue to grow the brand, understanding what that difference is as a core belief. For example, Glass doesn't have ads. Glass is never going to have ads, right? Like that's a big thing. That's a reason that people don't like Instagram. That's a reason why people stop using other platforms, right? Like there are too many ads on the internet. And like an ad blocker only goes so far, and like hanging out in a spot that doesn't have ads feels really marvelous, right? Like everyone that uses Glass understands that people who are joining Threads are like, holy hell, this is amazing. Why isn't Instagram this? Well, it's mostly because of the ads, right? Like the ads are coming. I'm sorry. The ads are coming to Threads at some point, and it's going to restrict.
Of course it is.
And pull in, and then suddenly they're going to have another $1 billion business because you have to buy your.
Can I tell you my theory, which is also technically a hack?
Yeah,
I have a theory that if you register as a business account, which doesn't cost any money, if you just change your profile type from personal or creator to business, I think they show you fewer ads, if any. And I think they do that for a lot of reasons, one of which wouldn't surprise me at all, is that they don't want... They want to show businesses fewer ads because they want you to do the advertising and to pay for the ads, and they don't show you as many because they don't want people to have a sense of exactly how ad rich the personal end user experience is. So,
I mean, we still get a lot of ads on
business.
the Glass account, and we're a business.
Oh, okay. I don't get that many. But
like we also get we get the ads for Instagram ads a lot now, as we've been posting more in our stories and on the grid. They're like, hey, great post here. Do you want to pay money to have more people see it, including your own audience already? And it's like, no, I don't want that. Right. I do not want to pay that $5 or $100 or $500, whatever. So like that advantage and that distinction between the two platforms is really important for us, because it like one of my favorite books in the entire world growing up, and still is to this day, is The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And in The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, when you're flying around the galaxy in space, one of the things that you have is a towel. You got to have your towel, know where your towel is. And it's because they explain it early. They explain the bit early on, and it's because if you see someone and they have a towel, you can assume a bunch of other things about them. Mm-hmm. And so, like, how you describe these things, or like no ads for Instagram or for glass, is like a towel defining thing, or assistive idea generation versus creation. The fact that you're using AI to inspire, not create, is like a huge distinction between AI services for insight. And so like really nailing that down, that's like a big towel moment is how I think about it in my brain, because
I've never read that book. I feel like I need
to. I've heard bananas. You can also watch the movie that was released in 2000, I want to say 3 or 4. To be clear, it's not a good movie, but it's also a perfect film, if that makes sense. So like the guy who wrote it, Robert Douglas, I believe that's right. Oh God, now I have to check. I might have just conflated him with the guy who wrote Watership Down. Wow. This is like Richard Adams is the guy who wrote Watership Down, and Hitchhiker's Guide is Douglas Adams. There we go. My goodness, that was embarrassing. Nice. Douglas Adams. He has like reworked it multiple times. So he like wrote the original, I want to say trilogy, and then he recorded it as a like BBC radio play, and then added a few books, and then made a bad movie or series or something like that. And then when he died, he was working on this updated movie that came out in the early aughts. And it's exceptional. Like it captures the spirit of the books. It's really weird. It's really beautiful. It's all about the absurdity of life and how everything's weird. And so like just embrace that and have a nice time, which I take to heart very personally. But the film is bananas. It won't make a ton of sense unless you have read the books, but it's still a very enjoyable thing. Anyway, that was a really long way to get to the next question. Is, how do you, what do you want to be different from your competition? That is more or less the same question. That's just me trying to get more information. Sam said the closest comparison might be a posing prompt app that gives photographers things to say to get couples to laugh, etc. This is not that, but I want to tap into the same usefulness for beginners and professionals. So the helpful information here is that, for me, it's that like we're trying to tap into a market where there are apps that supposedly do this, but don't do it as well. So that was like the important part for me.
Exactly. Anybody... in theory, if you're just starting out, especially, it sounds good on paper. Like, oh yeah, I need like this posing app to have a record of ideas for things, because quite often when I have somebody staring at me, looking in front of me to make a photo, my mind goes completely blank and I don't know what to do. So having a posing app, I can like look and get a prompt and do all the things. But in reality, looking at a pose, from another photo or from like a template or like an illustration or something, is not very applicable, because you have actual humans in front of you. And if it's a couple, you might have one person that's taller and then next to somebody who's short, and trying to account for all those variables of how those people can actually interact is basically impossible. Just looking at, again, like a Rolodex of various poses. I mean, you can kind of maybe look at some, but yeah, it doesn't apply. And that's just given people's physicality. Like once you account for the light, what pose may or may not work based on the actual lighting that you have and positioning of how you want people to be in the light, that's a whole nother thing. So yeah, those apps, they kind of get you in the beginning and then people just keep paying. And I think that's the entire point of those posing apps is just like, yeah, sign up. And then you forget that you don't use it anymore and you stay subscribed for 5 years and we make money.
Yeah.
I think I fixed Insight, by the way, for you. I think you should have received probably a weird looking. It does weird things to black and white photos, by the way.
It sure does.
Because it assumes color, because it assumes it's coming off a
color
unedited.
Camera.
Yeah, color image. But hey, at least it works now, and you can send another one or take a picture with your phone and send that. Yeah, it's exciting times.
I'm gonna take a photo of me talking on this microphone.
Cool. I will say, though, one thing that I'm starting to be aware of is I think I saw this as something that would be more useful for people like starting out that need a nudge and sort of your mind is blank and you don't know what to do. But I have a feeling this is going to be way more useful for people that are totally established, like professionals, because they're the ones that have the headroom to be able to take in and remember to even use the thing. It's interesting how often people talk about like, oh yeah, I bought a prism and I just always forget to use it. And it's like, yeah, that's because your mind is fixated on keeping conversation with the client and making sure you have batteries and memory cards and all those other things that if all that stuff isn't totally second nature to you, there's no more room left in your brain to remember to use a prism to get creative. Same thing with something like Insight. Like you literally have to have the extra headroom to process like, oh yeah, I need to send this off and see if it gives me any other ideas. Because it's a tough thing to remember to do when you're trying to do all the other things that is involved with photography.
It's not easy. Being a photographer, not easy. Can't recommend it, you know? And then the final question that we ask in this questionnaire is, what are a few good metaphors for what you're doing? Sam answers were bad because of course they were. I was just trying to get as much information as I can. They were so bad I'm not even gonna.
I love the approach, what you described early on. It's underrated. You're trying to get the same general information by asking different questions. That's like a really good, healthy way to, because a lot of people will overthink an answer to anything creative, I think.
Yeah.
And stuff can get lost. And, if you ask this different question toward chipping away at the same answer, the stuff that really matters tends to surface to the top. So
when I was doing professional wedding photographer as the primary shooter, as the primary photographer, it was I did the same thing, right? Like the real thing you're trying to get is like, what's your vibe gonna be? And, like, yes, there's all the specifics of like, who do I need to photograph and what do you want? But like, really, you're just like trying to understand enough about someone to be able to prepare for your interactions with them, right? You're trying to just get someone to give you more information about who they are and what they want and how they want to interact. And so asking multiple different versions of that question of like, what are you looking for here is really helpful, because like people are going to answer differently based on their personality type, right? Like a type A person is going to like list a big thing about what they want in the first question. Other people are just going to be like, oh no, I trust you. You're good.
Yeah.
Whatever you want, it's like, no, give me more. But that person might, instead of responding, like, what's something you're looking for here? Or what are you hoping the mood of your photos will be afterwards, right? Like that type of thing can get you more information. And so if there's a question in your own questionnaire where you're feeling stuck or people aren't giving you great answers, instead of reworking that question, just add a different version of that question later in your questionnaire. You're going to get better answers. There's a fun little brain.
Great recommendation. By the way, the Insight is sent to you and it's hilarious. I love it. So now, just so you're familiar with the process, you think of it as quadrants 1, 2, 3, and 4, clockwise, starting in the top left.
Yeah.
And if there was one idea you liked out of all of them, you just type in a reply of that number, and it will re-render using that as the base starting point.
Do I type out the number, or do I just say 4?
You just type the number 4.
Okay.
Yeah, the onboarding process sends a little thumbnail if you sign up the normal way that has that very clear, but
great,
so you're aware. Yeah.
Well, what a fun update on Insight that it exists, it's happening, has a name. So that's all the information that Sam gave me, and then, just thought about what the actual thing, it's because this happened in July. It's a little bit hard to remember the exact thought process now because we're here and we've been calling it Insight for months now.
Yeah.
And so it's like, well, the reason we did Insight is because it makes the most sense for the name. It's like, well, yeah, but there were other bad ideas I came up with. I just don't remember them because, Insight was like pretty immediately, oh, yep, that fits. That feels great. And, whenever we name something, I always say like, sit with this for a couple of days and like see how it fits. You're going to wake up, you're going to have feelings about it, whatever. And I usually have like a pretty big concern that like the day after I send a thing is when I get nervous about like, okay, are we going to go for revisions? Are we going to have to do a new direction? What are we doing? And when I sent this one, I was not worried at all. I was like, oh no, nailed it. Donezo. So that was fun. That was fun for me.
Yeah.
Professionally, it's always nice to know you got it before you send it, and then you send it and have that immediately confirmed. Feels good.
Yeah.
Well, now.
Yeah, I'm desperately trying to remember the bad ideas. Because there were a few, but that intake form changed everything. Like I remember you sent a few ideas when I just was talking about it or something, and then that I'm pretty sure it was after I sent that.
Oh yeah, it was definitely after you sent that because I read it and thought about it and like spent time on it, and then I was like, yeah, and then I slept on it, woke up, and I was like, yeah, that's the guy, that's the fella, that's the name, that's our winner.
Nice.
Well, appreciators. Gustav, thank you for sending in and recommending the name Appreciators. I think it kind of works. We're gonna try it on.
Appreciators? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm glad you got some community feedback. That's great.
Yeah, who are our appreciators. See how it feels. I don't know. It's a little long. That was my bad for, naming our podcast with like 17 syllables. That was my fault. Oh well, can't win them all.
No.
Well,
it's a good episode.
Yeah.
Did you get your updated Insight idea?
Oh, is that the end? Are we done? Yeah, we're done.
Oh,
yeah, of course
not
we're
necessarily.
Done. We're at 108. No, we're done.
Yeah, I have to edit this thing, and I prefer it to not be 2 hours.
Yeah. Okay.
But we should end with the final. So you took a picture of yourself. Oh, this is hilarious. I love it.
I'm becoming a god.
Yeah, slowly. It's for listeners, it's hard to describe, but
so
he started with a simple. Go ahead.
One of the things that AI will do is it will just add stuff that isn't there because that's what AI does, right? So I picked the one that added birds, because it just added birds. I was like, give me more birds, but then it gave me nice flowery veils floating behind me, in addition to the birds, and what appears to be a jellyfish. But now I'm trying to think about how I would take a self-portrait with a jellyfish, right?
There you go, right? So it's it's already getting your brain turning. So that's what's funny is some of the results are just like laughably not helpful, but it might plant the seed of an idea that you can lean into that you hadn't thought of.
See, okay, now I'm going to try and take a self-portrait in public at the Baltimore Aquarium, the National
There you go.
Aquarium. I call aquariums fish museums. There, you heard it from me.
Oh, that's a great way to put it.
Yeah. Fish museum. I know.
But here's the thing: would you have thought to do that and eventually gotten around to it without having used Insight just now?
Hard to
Who
say.
knows?
Hard to say. Can't.
Hard to say. It's a hard thing to measure. Inspiration.
Yeah.
Just is.
Well. Great. I can't wait to solve that problem as we write about that more. I appreciate you, buddy. Let's go to sleep.
All right.
1,